Hello and welcome. The blood running through your veins remembers things your mind has long forgotten. When you wake in the dark hours before dawn, scales gleaming faintly in whatever light finds you, there is a stirring deep within your chest, a sensation that feels older than kingdoms, older than continents, older perhaps than the world itself. You are Dragonborn, and your existence is woven from contradictions that have haunted your people since the moment the first of your kind drew breath. You were born to serve, yet you crave freedom. You carry the power of dragons in your blood, yet dragons themselves view you with contempt or pity. You belong nowhere completely, and everywhere partially, forever caught between what you were created to be and what you have chosen to become. The origins of your race blur in the mists of time, shrouded by conflicting legends that each claim to hold the truth. Some stories contradict others entirely, while certain themes echo through every telling, as if the universe itself cannot quite agree on how you came to be. What remains consistent across all these myths is this: you were made by Io, the great dragon god whose name must be spoken with reverence, and whose death changed the cosmos forever. Io was not merely a god among gods. Io was the ninefold dragon, the concordant one, the supreme unknown who existed before the concepts of good and evil had crystallized into the forms recognized today. Where other deities claimed dominion over specific aspects of existence, Io embodied all of dragonkind in singular, incomprehensible totality. The god contained within that vast being every color of scale, every element of breath, every alignment and philosophy that would later divide dragonkind into warring factions. Io simply was, immense and terrible and beautiful beyond mortal comprehension. In the beginning of days, according to the oldest legends, Io fused brilliant astral spirits with the unchecked fury of the elements. From this union came the dragons themselves, those magnificent worms who would dominate the world for ages beyond counting. But dragons alone, Io recognized, were not sufficient for the grand design the god envisioned. The world needed intermediaries, beings who could walk where dragons could not, speak where dragon voices would inspire only terror, and serve as the bridge between draconic might and the lesser races who crawled across the earth. And so you were made. The specifics of your creation shift depending on which ancient text you consult, which clan's oral traditions you trust. One legend claims that Io shaped the Dragonborn with careful hands and fired them with divine breath, then spilled the god's own blood to give them life. In this telling, the first Dragonborn served Io directly as companions and allies, filling the god's astral court with songs of praise, while dragons were made only later, at the start of the Dawn War, to serve as engines of destruction against the primordials. This version was popular during the height of the Empire of Arcosia. Though it was considered subversive at the time, it proclaimed that Dragonborn should be the masters of dragons and not the other way around. Another myth tells a different tale. In this version, Io created the dragons first, and you came later, much later, formed from droplets of the god's blood that spattered across the world during a great battle. Some who believe this origin story view it as evidence that Dragonborn are clearly inferior to dragons, who were made by Io's loving hand rather than mere accident. Others emphasize that you arose from Io's own blood, just as the two Draconic deities arose from the god's sundered corpse, making you no less legitimate as inheritors of Draconic legacy. Still, other legends suggest you were crafted to be companions and allies to Io from the very beginning, before dragons even existed. According to this telling, Dragonborn were originally created to accompany Io, while dragons came later, during the war with the primordials. All these legends, contradictory as they are, share one common thread that binds them together like steel cable. Dragonborn owe your existence to Io, and crucially, you are not the creations of Bahamut or Tiamat. This distinction matters more than you might initially understand, for it means you have no predetermined allegiance in the eternal conflict between those dragon gods. You were made before that schism existed, and thus you remain free to choose your own path. Or so the legends claim. Reality, as you have learned through bitter experience, rarely aligns with the freedom promised in ancient stories. Whatever the precise method of your creation, the purpose was clear from the start. You were designed to serve. Your form reflects this purpose in every detail. Humanoid enough to navigate spaces built by and for the lesser races, yet draconic enough to command respect and inspire awe. Your scales gleam in hues that mirror the chromatic and metallic dragons. Red, blue, green, black, white, brass, bronze, copper, silver, gold. Each color marks you as inheritor of a specific draconic lineage, connecting you to ancient bloodlines that stretch back to the dawn of creation. The breath weapon that manifests in every Dragonborn is no mere magical trick. When you exhale fire or lightning or acid or frost or poison, you are channeling power that has flowed through dragon veins for eons. This elemental fury lives in your lungs, in your blood, waiting for the moment when you need it most. Chromatic Dragonborn claim the raw elemental power of chromatic dragons, exhaling their breath in a cone of devastation. Metallic Dragonborn lay claim to the tenacity of metallic dragons, their breath, weapons manifesting as focused lines of pure elemental force. Your resistance to certain elements mirrors the immunity of your draconic ancestors, woven into your very flesh as protection and proof of heritage. You speak Draconic, that ancient language renowned for its complex grammar and melodious tones. Your people regard it as a symbol of wisdom and power, often reserving its use for formal occasions or sacred rituals. When you speak the tongue of dragons, you are using the same words that Io spoke when shaping the cosmos, the same language that echoed through the astral courts before the world was young. But all these gifts, all these marks of draconic heritage, came with chains attached. You were not made to be equals. You were made to be useful. On a bear, the world that was your true birthplace, dragons ruled absolutely. Before your ancestors spread across that world in empire, they formed clans that each gave allegiance to a single dragon patron. Over the course of centuries, these clans grew into city-states, which were then brutally subjugated by the dragon overlords of a bear. You lived and died at draconic whim, property rather than people, tools shaped for specific purposes. The dragons of a bear made their expectations clear. Dragons ruled and Dragonborn served according to the natural order of things, or at least the order that dragons had imposed. Evil dragons kept you as slaves, driving you with cruelty and terror. Good dragons treated you as servants, which felt different but amounted to much the same loss of autonomy. You built their cities, fought their wars, carried out their commands without question or hesitation. This was not slavery as humans understood it. This was something woven into the fabric of a barren society, so absolute and pervasive that many of your ancestors could not even imagine existence outside of draconic control. But consciousness, once awakened, is difficult to suppress forever. Gradually, over generations, some Dragonborn began to question the chains they wore. Why should you, who carried dragon blood and dragon breath, bow before beings who treated you as lesser? Why should your clan's honor and achievements serve only to glorify dragon masters rather than your own people? These were dangerous thoughts, seditious and revolutionary, the kind that could get an entire clan slaughtered if spoken aloud. Then came the Dawn War, and everything changed. The primordials and gods clashed in a conflict that shook the foundations of reality itself. These were not mortal wars fought over territory or resources. This was cosmic struggle, the kind where entire planes of existence served as battlefields, and the casualties reshaped the multiverse. The primordials, ancient beings of elemental chaos, sought to unmake the ordered world the gods had created. The gods fought to preserve their creation and their dominion. Caught between these titanic forces, the lesser beings of the world could only watch in terror and pray for survival. Io, in arrogance or courage, or perhaps both, faced the primordial Erekhus alone. Erekhus was known as the King of Terror, a being of such awful power that even gods hesitated to confront him directly. The battle between Dragon God and Primordial Terror raged across the cosmos, tearing rifts in the planes themselves. And then in a moment that would echo through eternity, Erekhus cleaved Io in two. The dragon god's massive corpse, split down the middle, crashed to earth. From the two halves of Io's body emerged two new deities, fully formed and burning with divine fury. From one half came Bahamut, the platinum dragon, embodying justice, nobility, and protection. From the other came Tiamat, the chromatic queen, avatar of greed, tyranny, and conquest. A small shard independent of both became the artifact known as the Arrow of Fate. The newborn dragon gods immediately slew Erekhus in vengeance for their creator, then turned on each other until Tiamat fled. Io's violent death caused a rift between the planes that threatened to allow primordials to invade the astral sea itself. Only the sacrifice of another god, Haramather, who turned himself and everything around him to stone, managed to seal the breach. The cost of victory in the Dawn War was immeasurable, paid in divine blood and cosmic upheaval. For you, for every dragonborn alive at that moment, the death of Io sent shockwaves through your very souls. The being who made you, who gave you purpose and form, was gone. This could imply that the bond connecting all dragonborn to their creator god snapped like a severed rope, leaving you unmoored and uncertain. Some of you felt grief so profound it threatened to break your minds. Others felt something they had never experienced before, a strange, terrifying lightness, as if invisible shackles had suddenly become transparent. The dragons themselves fractured along the lines drawn by the new gods. Metallic dragons swore allegiance to Bahamut, embracing his ideals of honor and righteousness. Chromatic dragons pledged themselves to Tiamat, reveling in her philosophy of might and domination. And you stood in the middle, uncertain where you belonged, or whether you wanted to belong to either faction at all. The choice was yours to make. For the first time in your people's history, you could choose. The realization was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Some dragonborn followed the metallic dragons, drawn to Bahamut's promise of redemption and purpose beyond mere servitude. You became paladins, knights, champions of justice, who sought to prove that you could be more than weapons in dragon claws. Others aligned with the chromatics, serving Tiamat with fervor, finding comfort in the familiar structure of obedience. Many of you, however, tried to walk a middle path, declaring allegiance to neither faction, seeking to forge your own destiny free from draconic control entirely. This middle path proved harder than anyone anticipated. Your people are generally skeptical about religion, seeing it as a form of servitude no different from what you endured under dragon masters. Traditional dragonborn clans view worship of gods, especially dragon gods, with suspicion and distrust. Your code of honorable behavior and unswerving loyalty to clan serves as a kind of faith. and according to traditionalists among you, that outlook is all the religion you need. Any Dragonborn who becomes a cleric to a dragon god risks being outcasted, seen as a traitor to their people, driven to secrecy. Yet the pull of Draconic heritage remains strong. You look in the mirror and see dragon features staring back. The proud frills, the scaled skin, the powerful build, and you feel both pride and resentment. Pride in the might and majesty you embody. Resentment at the servitude that same form represents. The dragons, for their part, have never truly accepted your independence. Evil dragons view you as wayward property, rebellious servants who need to be either reclaimed or destroyed. They remember when you bowed without question, and they want that obedience back. Good dragons treat you with condescension, seeing you as children who need guidance rather than equals who deserve respect. Even Bahamut's followers, for all their talk of justice and freedom, often fail to recognize that you are not dragons and do not wish to be ruled by dragons, no matter how benevolent. On a bear, the world of your birth, this tension eventually erupted into open rebellion. You broke the shackles of tyranny and fought against your dread masters, establishing free Dragonborn nations through blood and determination. The greatest of these was Timenchebar, a vast empire where Dragonborn ruled themselves, free from dragon overlords. For the first time in your people's history, you lived as you chose, built what you wanted, determined your own fates. But freedom is never simple, and your people's relationship with dragons remains complex and painful. You harbor resentment toward anything reminiscent of your oppressors. Those who embrace their draconic lineage, too, enthusiastically, might be seen as criminals or cultists by traditional clans. Based on what we know about Dragonborn attitudes toward draconic influence, draconic sorcerers could be perceived as both cursed and blessed, depending on the clan's perspective. Half-dragons might be regarded as abominations, living reminders of draconic domination. This is the inheritance that was gifted to you in an age before memory. You carry within you the power of dragons and the curse of consciousness. You were made to serve, but you have claimed the right to choose. You honor your heritage even as you reject its chains. You speak the language of dragons while refusing to bow before them. Every aspect of Dragonborn life is dictated by your race's code of honor and strict adherence to tradition. Your society is highly ordered, with each member expected to do their utmost for family and clan. This loyalty and sense of duty sustained you during your long history of enslavement and enabled you to form communities and nations of free Dragonborn. The promise of honor within the clan drives you to acts of heroism, daring, and excellence, all meant to bring glory to the clan first and the individual second. Your culture is deeply rooted in balancing personal honor with collective accomplishments. You admire heroism and view every action as a reflection of your clan's reputation. This ethos makes you fierce warriors, loyal friends, and dependable allies. You take oaths with utmost seriousness, viewing promises as unbreakable commitments. Breaking an oath is considered a grave disgrace that can haunt you and your clan for generations. Dragonborn clans are the dominant social unit within your culture. Clans are comprised of all the members of multiple bloodlines that were once bound together, forming extended family structures that provide identity and purpose. You have personal names given at birth, but you put your clan names first as a mark of honor. A childhood name or nickname is often used among clutchmates as a descriptive term or term of endearment. The name might recall an event or center on a habit, becoming part of how you understand yourself within the larger whole. You usually take a skill which could be combat-related like war or hunting, or could be more utilitarian like metalwork, cooking, or other crafts. Then you spend your entire lives perfecting it. A master at their craft is seen as useful to the needs of the clan, and therefore celebrated. Your worth is measured not in gold or titles, but in what you contribute to your people's survival and flourishing. This is who you are. This is the weight you carry. You were shaped by a god who died before you could ask why. You were bound to serve dragons who saw you as property. You fought for freedom that never feels entirely secure. And now you stand at the intersection of what you were made to be and what you have chosen to become, forever caught in the silent struggle between duty and desire, heritage and hope. Section 2. The fracturing empires built on ashes. The death of Io left your people unmoored, drifting in a cosmos that no longer recognized the old certainties. When the Dawn War finally ended, when the primordials were defeated or imprisoned, and the gods claimed victory over the forces of elemental chaos, the world that emerged was fundamentally different from the one that had existed before. The planes themselves had been reshaped by the conflict, boundaries redrawn, connections severed and reformed in patterns that defied mortal understanding. And you, the Dragonborn, found yourselves inheriting a fractured legacy in a broken world. On a bear, the world that was your true birthplace, the dragons still maintained their iron grip over your people. The death of Io had shaken their authority, but not broken it. Dragon overlords ruled vast territories, each claiming dominion over Dragonborn clans that had once pledged service and saw no way to escape those ancient oaths. Evil dragons drove you with whips and terror, treating you as expendable resources to be consumed in their endless territorial disputes. Good dragons offered protection and guidance, but their benevolence came with expectations of obedience that felt uncomfortably similar to slavery. No matter how gently the chains were applied. But something had changed in the hearts of your people. Based on what we know about the aftermath of Io's death, the bond that had once made draconic commands feel like natural law had weakened. And into that space crept dangerous ideas about self-determination and freedom. Small acts of defiance multiplied into larger ones. A clan that refused a dragon's unreasonable demand. A warrior who turned their weapon against their master rather than innocent victims. A community that fled into the wilderness rather than continue serving. Each act of rebellion inspired others, and gradually, over generations, resistance transformed from isolated incidents into organized movements. The revolution, when it finally came, was not a single glorious battle, but a grinding war of attrition that lasted for centuries. You fought with everything you had, breath weapons that mirrored draconic power, weapons forged in secret. Magic learned despite dragon attempts to keep such knowledge from you. And most importantly, the coordinated strength of clans working together toward a common goal. Dragons were individually more powerful than any Dragonborn, but you had numbers, determination, and the kind of desperate courage that comes from having nothing left to lose. Slowly, painfully, you won your freedom. Dragon overlords fell or were driven from their territories. Dragonborn clans claimed the lands they had worked and defended for generations, establishing settlements where you answered to no one but yourselves. The taste of autonomy was intoxicating. For the first time in your people's recorded history, you could build civilizations according to your own vision rather than draconic whim. From these hard-won territories emerged something extraordinary: the empire of Arco-Sia. This was not merely a nation, but a declaration, a statement written in stone and magic that Dragonborn could create something magnificent without dragon masters dictating every detail. Arco-Sia rose in the region that would one day be known as the Nentir Vale, though in that ancient age the geography, and even the plain itself, bore different names. Your ancestors built cities of soaring towers and grand plazas, architecture that borrowed from draconic aesthetics, but transformed them into something distinctly your own. The empire flourished for centuries, becoming a center of learning, magic, and military might. Dragonborn scholars studied the arcane arts without restriction, pushing the boundaries of magical theory in ways that had been impossible under dragon rule. Your warriors perfected fighting techniques specifically designed to counter draconic threats, ensuring that no dragon overlord could ever reclaim what you had built. Artisans created works of breathtaking beauty, proving that your people valued more than mere martial strength. Arco-Sia stood as living proof that Dragonborn deserved to be recognized as a great civilization in their own right. The Empire's culture reflected the contradictions at the heart of Dragonborn identity. You honored your Draconic heritage, even while rejecting Draconic authority. Draconic remained your primary language, spoken with pride as a connection to ancient roots. Your breath weapons and scaled bodies were celebrated as marks of strength rather than shameful reminders of servitude. Yet you remained deeply suspicious of anything that resembled dragon worship, or implied that dragons were inherently superior to Dragonborn. Some radical philosophers in Arcosia even argued for the controversial position that Dragonborn should be masters of dragons, not the other way around. Citing the legend that Io had created your people, first as companions, before crafting dragons as weapons for the Dawn War. Arcosia's military power was formidable, built on the foundation of your people's natural advantages and honed through constant training. Every Dragonborn was expected to serve the Empire in some capacity, whether as warrior, scholar, craftsperson, or administrator. Your code of honor demanded excellence in service to clan and nation, creating a society where individual achievement reflected on the collective, and collective glory elevated every individual. This ethos produced warriors of exceptional skill and citizens of unwavering loyalty. But even as Arcosia reached the height of its power, another empire was rising that would become your people's greatest enemy. To the south, humans had made their own terrible bargain with forces from beyond the mortal plane. The nobles of Baal Tirath, seeking power that would allow them to dominate their neighbors, turned to the Nine Hells and made pacts with devils. These contracts transformed them into tieflings, mortals bearing infernal blood and hellish features, but granted them magic and military might that no human kingdom could match. Baal Tirath and Arcosia eyed each other across disputed territories, two young empires each convinced of their manifest destiny to rule. The exact cause of the war that followed has been lost to history, buried under millennia of propaganda and myth-making from both sides. Perhaps it was a border dispute that escalated beyond anyone's ability to control. Perhaps it was inevitable that two such powerful civilizations, each representing fundamentally different philosophies and backed by opposing cosmic forces, would eventually clash. Perhaps both empires were simply too proud, too certain of their superiority, to ever truly coexist peacefully. What began as skirmishes along contested borders erupted into total war. Arcosia's Dragonborn legions, with their breath weapons and natural resilience, fought against Baal Tirath's devil-backed armies. The tieflings wielded infernal magic that could corrupt and destroy, calling on pacts with archdevils to bring hellfire and damnation to the battlefield. The Dragonborn responded with draconic sorcery and battle tactics, refined through generations of fighting against actual dragons. Neither side could gain decisive advantage, and so the war ground on, year after year, decade after decade, century after century. The conflict consumed both empires. Resources that should have gone to building and growing were diverted to the endless hunger of war. Entire generations knew nothing but combat, raised from hatching or birth to fight in a struggle whose original purpose had long since been forgotten. The landscape itself became a casualty, fertile farmland transformed into scorched wasteland. Cities reduced to rubble, rivers running red with blood from both sides. As the war dragged on, both empires grew increasingly desperate, willing to employ ever more terrible weapons and forbidden magics. The tieflings of Baal Tirath called on darker and more dangerous devils, making pacts that bound not just individuals, but entire bloodlines to infernal service. The Dragonborn of Arcosia delved into ancient Draconic magic that perhaps should have remained buried, unleashing forces they could barely control. Each escalation demanded a response, and each response provoked further escalation in a cycle of mutual destruction that neither empire could escape. The end, when it finally came, was not glorious for either side. There was no decisive final battle where good triumphed over evil or strength overcame weakness. Instead, both empires simply collapsed under the accumulated weight of their own hubris and hatred. The exact sequence of events remains unclear, lost to the chaos of those final days, but the result was catastrophic. Some texts speak of a great magical cataclysm, a working of such immense power that it backfired and consumed both nations in flames. Others describe a more gradual decline, as both civilizations simply exhausted themselves past the point of recovery. What is certain is that neither empire survived. Arcosia fell, your people's greatest achievement reduced to ruins and memories. Baal Tirath collapsed as well. The infernal pacts that had once granted power now becoming chains that dragged the tieflings down into darkness. The region where both empires had once flourished became desolate, scattered with ruins that were all that remained of cities that had once held millions, crumbling monuments to ambition and pride. For you, for every Dragonborn who survived the fall of Arcosia, the loss was devastating beyond words. Your people had fought for centuries to win freedom from dragon overlords. You had built an empire that proved Dragonborn could create civilization equal to any in the world. And then you had thrown it all away in a pointless war that benefited no one and destroyed everything. The shame of this failure, the weight of knowing that your ancestors had squandered their hard-won liberty, became part of your cultural inheritance. The survivors scattered across Abair, seeking new homes in lands that viewed them with suspicion and fear. You were refugees in your own world, carrying nothing but the memories of glory lost and the determination to somehow rebuild. Some clans wandered for generations, never finding a place they could truly call home. Others settled in marginal lands that no one else wanted, scratching out difficult existences on the fringes of other civilizations. A few managed to establish new communities, smaller than Arcosia, but still distinctly Dragonborn in culture and values. The greatest of these post-Arcosia nations was Timenchebar, the empire that rose from the determination of free Dragonborn to never again be ruled by dragons or anyone else. Timenchebar became a beacon for scattered clans, a place where Dragonborn could live according to their own laws and traditions. The nation was not as grand as Arcosia had been in its prime, but it represented something equally important. Proof that your people could survive even the most catastrophic failures and rebuild from the ashes. Yet even as you struggled to find your place on a bear, forces beyond your understanding were preparing to change everything once again. The world of Faerun, separated from a bear by cosmic barriers erected in the aftermath of ancient conflicts, had developed its own civilizations entirely unaware of your people's existence. Dragonborn were not native to Faerun, and the world had managed quite well without you for millennia. But in the year 1385 Dale Reckoning, a catastrophe of unprecedented scale would bridge the gap between worlds and bring your people to a place that had never heard your name. The spell plague erupted across Faerun when the goddess Mystra was murdered by the gods Cyric and Shar, causing the weave of magic to unravel and reality itself to fracture. Entire regions were transformed or destroyed. Landscapes shifted, populations vanished, and in some places the barriers between planes simply collapsed. As the catastrophe spread, it reached beyond Faerun itself, touching a bear and creating connections between the two worlds. In the chaos of the spell plague, entire sections of a bear and Faerun were swapped between worlds. Dragonborn populations, including much of Timenchebar, suddenly found themselves transported to an alien world they had no knowledge of. You appeared in regions of Faerun that corresponded roughly to where your cities had stood on a bear. But everything else was different. Different geography, different peoples, different history. Your empire became known simply as Timenther in this new world, a dragonborn nation that appeared fully formed in a place called Unther, replacing that ancient land as if it had always been there. For the people of Faerun, your sudden appearance was shocking and incomprehensible. They had myths and legends about creatures called Dragonborn from their own history. But those were ancient tales with no connection to your people. The Dragonborn of Faerun legend were rare individuals transformed by draconic influence or born from strange magical experiments. They were not an entire nation, not a civilization with its own culture and history. Your arrival forced the people of Faerun to revise their understanding of the world and make space for a new power they had never anticipated. For you, the transition was traumatic. Everything familiar had been stripped away in an instant. The geography you knew was gone. Allies and trading partners had vanished, replaced by strangers who spoke unfamiliar languages and worshipped gods you had never heard of. Even the sky looked wrong. The stars arranged in patterns that made no sense according to the celestial maps your navigators had used for generations. You were isolated in a foreign world with no way to return home, no way to contact the Dragonborn communities you had left behind on a bear. Yet true to your people's nature, you adapted. Time-Enther established itself as a legitimate nation in Faerun, despite the suspicious and often hostile reception from neighboring powers. You fortified your borders, trained your warriors, and made clear that while you had not chosen to come to this world, now that you were here, you would not be driven out. Your code of honor and clan loyalty, the cultural foundations that had sustained you through slavery and revolution, and the fall of Arco-Sia, once again proved their worth. The Dragonborn of Time-Enther viewed the natives of Faerun with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. You had no quarrel with these strangers, but experience had taught you to be cautious when dealing with other races, especially those who might see you as useful servants rather than sovereign people. Your interactions with the dragons of Faerun confirmed your worst suspicions. They treated you with the same condescension and sense of ownership that dragons on a bear had displayed. Some chromatic dragons even attempted to claim authority over Dragonborn communities, insisting that you owed them service by virtue of your shared draconic nature. You rejected these claims absolutely, making clear through words, and when necessary through force, that you would never again bow to dragon masters. This rejection of draconic authority put you at odds with portions of Faerun society that revered dragons, particularly the cults devoted to Bahamut and Tiamat. Some of these groups believed that Dragonborn should naturally serve as champions and agents of the dragon gods. They could not understand why you resisted what they saw as your obvious destiny. The concept that a race carrying dragon blood might not want anything to do with dragons, or their gods struck them as perverse, a rejection of natural order. But you knew better. You had lived under dragon rule and fought wars to escape it. You had built empires and watched them fall. You had been transported across worlds against your will. Through all of this, the one constant had been your determination to control your own fate, to be more than what others expected or demanded you to be. This determination, forged in the fires of oppression and tempered through centuries of struggle, was not something you would ever willingly surrender. The fracturing of your people across two worlds, separated by barriers you could not cross, became yet another wound added to the deep scars your race already carried. Families were split. Clans lost contact with distant branches. Knowledge and traditions that had been maintained for generations were disrupted when the keepers of that lore found themselves stranded on the wrong side of the cosmic divide. You adapted because you had to, but the cost of each adaptation, each compromise forced upon you by circumstances beyond your control, accumulated into a burden that grew heavier with each passing generation. This is what the death of Io had wrought. This is what freedom had cost. You had escaped servitude only to discover that independence brought its own agonies. You had built greatness only to see it consumed in flames. You had claimed a homeland only to be torn from it and scattered across worlds. And through it all, the question remained, whispered in the dark hours when exhaustion made truth unavoidable. What were you supposed to be, and would you ever find the answer? Section 3. Scattered scales, the weight of lost glory. The ruins still stand in places, half buried by time and vegetation, stone monuments to what your ancestors built and lost. Travelers who stumble upon these remnants rarely understand what they are seeing. They notice the scale of the architecture, the draconic motifs carved into every surface, the way the buildings seem designed for beings larger and more powerful than common humans. But they cannot grasp the significance, cannot feel the weight of history pressing down on these broken stones. You feel it, though. Every Dragonborn who stands before the ruins of Arcosia, or the scattered remnants of other lost cities, feels the ache of what might have been, the ghost of glory that slipped through your ancestors' claws. The fall of Arcosia did not merely destroy buildings and kill populations. It shattered something fundamental in the Dragonborn psyche, breaking the confidence that had sustained your people through revolution and nation building. You had proven you could overthrow dragon tyrants. You had demonstrated that Dragonborn could create magnificent civilizations without masters dictating your every action. And then you had destroyed yourselves in a war so consuming, so absolute in its mutual hatred, that both sides lost everything. The lesson was clear and brutal. Freedom from external oppression did not guarantee wisdom, and the power to choose your own path included the power to choose catastrophically wrong. This knowledge haunts you still. When you gather in clan halls and speak of history, when elders tell the old stories to young ones barely hatched, the tale of Arcosia's fall carries a warning that cuts deeper than any cautionary fable. Your people are capable of greatness, yes, but you are equally capable of throwing that greatness away through pride and stubbornness. The war with Baal Tirath was not forced upon you by external enemies. Both empires chose escalation at every turn, chose to pour resources into destruction rather than creation, chose short-term tactical advantage over long-term survival. Your ancestors made those choices freely, and the consequences of that freedom nearly destroyed your entire race. The survivors who fled carried with them what they could salvage of Arco-Sion culture. Sacred texts copied in haste as cities burned, weapons and armor stripped from the dead, seeds of crops that had once fed millions, fragments of magical knowledge, incomplete and sometimes dangerous without the full context. But most importantly, they carried memories, stories of what Arcosia had been in its prime, songs that celebrated victories now turned bitter by ultimate defeat, names of heroes whose sacrifices had meant nothing in the end. These intangible inheritances became the foundation for rebuilding, the thread of continuity that prevented complete cultural annihilation. The scattered clans established themselves wherever they could find acceptance, or at least tolerance. Some settled in the borderlands between established nations, carving out territories in regions considered too dangerous or inhospitable for other races. Others hired themselves out as mercenaries, using martial skills honed in the long war to earn respect and resources. A few found patrons among human or elven lords who valued Dragonborn combat prowess enough to overlook the suspicion and prejudice most people felt toward your dragon-touched race. These arrangements were rarely comfortable for either party, but they allowed survival, and survival was all that mattered in those desperate years. Your clan structure, already strong before Arcosia's fall, became even more central to Dragonborn identity in the diaspora. When you have no nation, no territory you can truly call your own, clan becomes everything. The clan is family in the broadest sense, not just immediate blood relations, but all the members of multiple bloodlines that have been bound together through oaths and shared history. Your clan name comes before your personal name because the collective identity matters more than individual distinction. You are first and foremost a member of your clan, and everything you do reflects on that larger whole. This emphasis on collective honor over individual glory shapes every aspect of Dragonborn life. From the moment you hatch, you are taught that your actions carry weight beyond yourself. A heroic deed brings glory to your entire clan, elevating everyone's status and opening opportunities that benefit the community. Conversely, a shameful act stains not just you, but every member of your bloodline, potentially for generations. This creates immense pressure to excel, to prove yourself worthy of the clan name you bear. But it also provides purpose and meaning, anchoring you in something larger than your individual existence. Children receive personal names at birth, chosen by parents to reflect hopes or circumstances surrounding the hatching. But among your clutchmates, those who hatched from eggs laid at the same time, your closest siblings, you often use childhood names or nicknames instead. These informal names might recall a specific event, describe a personality trait, or simply be terms of endearment. The name might be something like climber, leaper, pious, zealous, shieldbitter, or earbender. They create intimacy within the clan structure, marking the distinction between those who truly know you and outsiders, who only see the formal identity you present to the world. As you mature, you choose or are assigned a skill that will become your life's focus. This might be combat-related, the art of the blade, the bow, or fighting styles specifically designed to counter draconic threats. Or it might be more utilitarian, metalworking, stonecraft, agriculture, cooking, textile production, scholarly pursuits, or any of 100 other specializations necessary for community survival. Whatever skill you choose, you are expected to pursue mastery with absolute dedication. A Dragonborn who is merely adequate at their craft brings no honor to their clan. But a true master, someone whose expertise is recognized even by other races, elevates the entire community through their excellence. This drive for mastery reflects a deep-seated need to prove Dragonborn worth. You carry the blood of dragons, possess breath weapons, and natural armor that mark you as extraordinary. Yet other races often view you with suspicion, seeing you as dangerous primitives or worse, as potential servants who should be grateful for any acceptance. Your pursuit of excellence in your chosen field is a refutation of these prejudices. It declares that you are not merely strong but skilled, not just dangerous but disciplined, not primitive but cultured and capable. Your code of honor reinforces these values through strict behavioral expectations. Loyalty to clan is absolute. Oaths are sacred, never to be broken under any circumstances. To give your word is to bind yourself at the deepest level, and betraying that bond is considered one of the gravest sins a Dragonborn can commit. This makes you extraordinarily reliable as allies and dangerous as enemies. You will fulfill your promises regardless of personal cost, but you also expect the same commitment from others and respond harshly when that trust is violated. The honor code extends to how you conduct yourself in all aspects of life. You are expected to face challenges directly rather than through deception or manipulation. Courage is valued, but recklessness is not. True bravery means understanding danger and choosing to act anyway, not ignorantly rushing into situations you cannot handle. You must balance personal ambition with collective good, always asking whether your actions serve your clan or merely your own ego. And you must maintain dignity even in defeat or hardship, showing other races that Dragonborn do not break under pressure. Yet for all this emphasis on tradition and collective identity, your people struggle with deep internal conflicts about what it means to be Dragonborn. The most fundamental tension revolves around your relationship with dragons themselves. You carry Draconic blood, speak the Draconic language, wield breath weapons that mirror dragon abilities. Your very form proclaims your connection to dragonkind. But most traditional Dragonborn clans harbor deep resentment toward anything that reminds them of the centuries spent in servitude to dragon overlords. This creates impossible contradictions. You honor your Draconic heritage as the source of your strength and identity, but you reject any suggestion that this heritage obligates you to serve dragons or their gods. You take pride in your breath weapons and scaled hide, but you view Dragonborn who embrace their Draconic nature too enthusiastically with suspicion, seeing them as potential traitors who might sell out their people to win dragon favor. You speak Draconic and consider it a symbol of wisdom and power, but you refuse to bow before those who first spoke that language, the great worms who created it. Those who become Draconic sorcerers face particularly complex social dynamics. Based on what we know about Dragonborn attitudes toward Draconic influence, the emergence of Draconic magic within a bloodline can be seen as either blessing or curse, depending on the clan's perspective. Some might view it as proof of strong Draconic ancestry, a mark of distinction that should be celebrated. Others could see it as contamination, a sign that the bloodline is too close to true dragons and might be susceptible to Draconic influence or control. Sorcerers themselves often feel torn between the power their magic grants and the suspicion it generates within their own communities. Half-dragons, the offspring of unions between dragons and Dragonborn, occupy an even more uncomfortable position. This could suggest that traditional clans might regard them as abominations, living reminders of Draconic domination and the violation of Dragonborn autonomy. The circumstances of their conception matter greatly. A half-dragon born from consensual union might be grudgingly accepted, while one resulting from force or coercion carries the additional stigma of rape and oppression. Half-dragons themselves often feel caught between two worlds, too Draconic to be fully accepted among Dragonborn, yet too mortal to be recognized by true dragons. Your people's relationship with religion adds another layer of complexity to these identity struggles. Traditional Dragonborn are deeply skeptical about worship of gods, viewing it as another form of servitude, no different from what you endured under dragon masters. Why should you bow before divine beings who demand obedience and threaten punishment for disobedience? This strikes many Dragonborn as simply exchanging dragon overlords for celestial ones, trading one set of chains for another. Your code of honorable behavior and loyalty to clan serves as a kind of faith, and according to traditionalists, that philosophy is all the religion you need. This skepticism applies especially to worship of the dragon gods, Bahamut and Tiamat. Despite, or perhaps because of, your Draconic heritage, most Dragonborn want nothing to do with deities who embody Draconic values and attract dragon worshippers. Some clans view any Dragonborn who becomes a cleric or paladin dedicated to a dragon god as a traitor, someone who has betrayed their people's hard-won independence to return to servitude. These religious Dragonborn often face ostracism, forced to practice their faith in secret or abandon their clans entirely. Yet not all Dragonborn share this traditionalist view. Some, particularly those who have lived among other races or fought alongside paladins of Bahamut, come to see value in worship of the Platinum Dragon. They argue that Bahamut represents justice and protection, not domination, and that serving such ideals does not make you a slave. They point out that Bahamut himself opposes the tyranny that chromatic dragons represent, making him a potential ally against the very oppression traditionalists fear. These arguments rarely convince the skeptics, but they create space for diversity of belief within Dragonborn communities, even when that diversity generates conflict. The dragons of Faerun, for their part, have made clear that they view you with the same condescension their Abear cousins displayed. Evil dragons see you as wayward property that should be reclaimed or destroyed. They remember when Dragonborn bowed without question, when your ancestors served dragon masters as a matter of natural law, and they want that obedience restored. Good dragons offer protection and guidance, speaking nobly of how they can help you reach your full potential. But their benevolence comes with expectations, an assumption that you should be grateful for their attention and willing to accept their authority. Even the best-intentioned metallic dragons struggle to see you as true equals rather than promising children who need patient mentoring. You reject these attitudes absolutely. Your people fought too hard, sacrificed too much, to accept any return to Draconic authority, regardless of how it is packaged. When chromatic dragons attempt to claim dominion over Dragonborn communities, you meet them with steel and breath weapon, making clear that the age of servitude is over. When metallic dragons offer their protection, you politely but firmly decline, explaining that you have protected yourselves for generations and require no Draconic saviors. This defiance often confuses dragons, who cannot understand why beings bearing Draconic blood would reject association with true dragons. But your refusal is not rejection of your heritage. It is affirmation of your autonomy, declaration that you will define what your draconic nature means rather than accepting definitions imposed by others. Other races struggle to understand these nuances. Humans and elves and dwarves see your draconic features and make assumptions about your nature and loyalties. Some view you with fear, seeing potential dragons in humanoid form, beings who might share the territorial aggression and greed that makes true dragons so dangerous. Others see you as exotic curiosities, fascinated by your scales and breath weapons, but unable to grasp the culture and history that shapes Dragonborn identity. Still others view you as useful tools, strong warriors who can be hired or manipulated to serve causes they would never die for themselves. You navigate these prejudices with the same determination that sustained you through worse oppressions. You prove your worth through deeds, demonstrating that Dragonborn are dependable allies, honorable opponents, and valuable members of any community willing to accept you on your own terms. You maintain your cultural practices, even when other races find them strange or excessive. You speak Draconic among yourselves, preserving the language that connects you to your origins, even as you learn Common and other tongues necessary for navigating the wider world. You pass down the stories of Arco-Sia and a bear and Timon Chebar, ensuring that young Dragonborn understand the history that made them what they are. But the weight grows heavier with each passing generation. More history to remember, more losses to honor, more sacrifices to prove worthy of. You carry the glory of empires that fell before you were born. You bear responsibility for wars fought by ancestors you never knew. You inherit both the pride of revolution against dragon tyrants and the shame of self-destruction in pointless conflict with Baal Tirath. This accumulated heritage shapes you from the moment you hatch, defining expectations and limitations before you have chance to discover who you might become independent of all that history. And yet you endure. You adapt to new worlds and new circumstances without losing the core of what makes you Dragonborn. You honor your clans while forging individual identities. You respect tradition while creating new ways of being that your ancestors could never have imagined. You are scattered across worlds, divided by cosmic barriers and cultural differences, yet somehow still united by shared heritage and common struggles. This is what it means to be Dragonborn in the aftermath of Empire. You are the inheritors of lost glory and remembered shame, bearers of Draconic blood who refuse Draconic rule, a people without a homeland who carry home within your clans and codes. The ruins of what your ancestors built still stand in scattered places, monuments to ambition and failure alike. And you stand among those ruins, breathing fire and lightning and acid, proving with every breath that Dragonborn survive. Section 4. Identity in Exile, the modern Dragonborn condition. You wake each morning in a world that is not quite home. The bed beneath you might be comfortable, the roof overhead solid, the community around you welcoming enough. But there remains a fundamental displacement, a sense that you are guest rather than true inhabitant, tolerated rather than belonging. This is the reality for most Dragonborn living in the current age. You exist in the spaces between, neither fully integrated into the societies you inhabit, nor able to return to the empires your ancestors lost. The concept of homeland carries different weight for your people than it does for humans or elves or dwarves. Those races can point to ancestral territories, regions where their culture has flourished for millennia, places they can claim with confidence as theirs by right of continuous habitation. You have no such certainty. Arcosia fell centuries ago, its territories long since claimed by others or abandoned to wilderness. Time Chebar was torn from a bear and deposited in Faerun, becoming Time-Anther in a world that never asked for your presence. Even on a bear, the clans that remained are scattered across territories controlled by others, building lives in the margins rather than the centers of power. This displacement forces you to carry home within yourself rather than finding it in geography. Your clan becomes the territory you defend. Your traditions become the borders you maintain. Your code of honor becomes the foundation upon which you build identity and meaning. Where other races might draw strength from the land they stand on, you draw strength from the bonds connecting you to other Dragonborn, the web of relationships and obligations that defines clan structure. The clan is everything when you have nothing else. It provides identity before you are old enough to understand what identity means. Your clan name comes first, proclaimed before your personal name, because the collective matters more than the individual. This is not mere tradition or arbitrary custom. It is survival strategy born from centuries of displacement. A lone Dragonborn might be powerful, but they are also vulnerable, easy to exploit or eliminate. A clan bound together by oaths and shared history possesses resilience that transcends individual strength. Within the clan structure, your relationships operate according to patterns that other races often find confusing. You have your birth name, the personal identifier your parents chose when you hatched. You have your clan name, marking which bloodlines and oaths connect you to the larger community. And you have your childhood name, the informal nickname used by those who hatched alongside you, your clutchmates who know you with intimacy outsiders cannot match. This childhood name might reference a specific incident, describe a personality trait, or simply be a term of endearment. It creates layers of identity, the public face you show the world, the family identity you share with all clan members, and the intimate self known only to those closest to you. As you mature, you choose or are assigned a craft that will become your life's work. This choice carries profound significance, for it determines how you will contribute to clan survival and prosperity. Combat skills are valued, certainly. Every clan needs warriors who can defend against external threats. But equally important are the craftspeople who forge weapons and armor, build shelters, grow and prepare food, create textiles, practice medicine, and perform all the other tasks necessary for community functioning. Scholars who preserve history and magical knowledge, artisans who create beauty as well as utility, merchants who negotiate with other races. All these roles matter. What matters most is not which craft you choose, but how thoroughly you pursue mastery. Mediocrity brings no honor to your clan. Adequate performance fulfills basic obligations, but does not elevate your community's reputation. Only true excellence, skill so refined that even other races must acknowledge it, brings the kind of glory that reflects well on everyone sharing your clan name. This creates immense pressure to excel, to spend every waking hour perfecting your chosen craft until you can perform it flawlessly, even under the most adverse conditions. Your honor code reinforces this drive for excellence through strict behavioral standards that govern every aspect of life. Loyalty to clan is absolute and unquestionable. You place collective needs above personal desires, not because you are selfless saints, but because you understand that clan survival ensures individual survival. A Dragonborn who betrays their clan for personal gain might profit in the short term, but they become outcasts, cut off from the support network that makes life navigable in a world often hostile to your kind. Oaths possess sacred weight in Dragonborn culture. When you give your word, you are binding yourself at the deepest level, staking your personal honor and your clan's reputation on fulfilling that promise. Other races sometimes view this as useful. A Dragonborn who swears to protect you will do so even at cost of their own life. But they often fail to understand that this same absolute commitment makes you dangerous when oaths are violated. You expect the same integrity from others that you demonstrate yourself, and betrayal of trust generates responses proportional to the offense. Break a minor promise, and you will face stern words and damaged relationships. Betray a major oath, and you might face the wrath of an entire clan seeking satisfaction for the insult. This emphasis on honor and collective identity shapes how you interact with the broader world. You are cautious when dealing with other races, assessing whether they understand and respect the weight you place on oaths and reputation. You gravitate toward those who demonstrate similar values. Dwarven communities, with their own emphasis on clan loyalty and craftsmanship, often develop good relations with Dragonborn settlements. You struggle more with cultures that prioritize individual freedom over collective responsibility, finding it difficult to trust people whose primary allegiance is to themselves rather than something larger. But the most complex and painful relationships remain those with dragons themselves. You cannot escape your draconic heritage. It manifests in every aspect of your being. Your scales shimmer in colors that precisely match specific dragon types. Brilliant red like red dragons, deep blue like blue dragons, verdant green like green dragons, glossy black like black dragons, pristine white like white dragons, or metallic hues that mirror the noble dragons, burnished brass like brass dragons, bronze like bronze dragons, copper like copper dragons, silver like silver dragons, gold like gold dragons. These colors are not superficial. They mark your draconic ancestry, connecting you to ancient bloodlines. Your breath weapon reinforces this connection. When you exhale elemental fury, you are channeling power that flows directly from draconic essence. A red dragonborn breathes fire in a cone of destruction that mirrors a red dragon's flame. A blue dragonborn exhales lightning. A green dragonborn spews poison gas. Black dragonborn produce acid. White dragonborn freeze enemies with frost. The metallic lineages manifest similar powers, but often in different patterns. Focused lines of elemental force rather than spreading cones. This breath weapon is not merely a combat ability. It is proof of your draconic nature, undeniable evidence that dragon blood runs in your veins. You possess resistance to the same elements your draconic ancestors were immune to. Fire that would incinerate a human washes over a red dragonborn with reduced effect. Lightning that could kill an elf merely stings a blue dragonborn. This resistance is woven into your flesh at a fundamental level, another gift from your draconic heritage. Yet despite all these marks of draconic nature, or perhaps because of them, most traditional dragonborn harbor deep resentment toward actual dragons. The centuries your ancestors spent in servitude to dragon overlords left scars that have not healed. You remember, even when the memories are second-hand stories passed down through generations. You remember the cruelty of chromatic dragons who treated Dragonborn as disposable property. You remember the condescension of metallic dragons who claimed to protect while demanding obedience in return. You remember fighting wars to win freedom that should never have needed winning, paying in blood for autonomy that should have been yours by right. When dragons look at you now, they still see servants or potential servants. Evil dragons view you as wayward property that needs to be reclaimed. They cannot comprehend why beings carrying dragon blood would refuse to serve true dragons, viewing your independence as theft or rebellion that must be corrected. Some chromatic dragons have attempted to establish dominion over Dragonborn communities, issuing commands and expecting obedience simply by virtue of their draconic nature. You have responded to these attempts with unambiguous violence, making clear that the age of Dragonborn servitude is permanently over. Good dragons present a more subtle challenge. They approach with offers of protection and guidance, speaking nobly of how they can help you reach your full potential. Their intentions may be genuinely benevolent, but their benevolence comes wrapped in assumptions of authority, an expectation that you should be grateful for their attention and willing to accept their leadership. Even the most well-meaning metallic dragon struggles to see Dragonborn as true equals rather than promising but flawed creations who need patient mentoring. This attitude, however kindly expressed, is still a form of condescension, still implies that you are lesser beings who should defer to draconic wisdom. You reject these attitudes from both sides. Your refusal is not rejection of your heritage. You honor your draconic blood and take pride in the strength it grants. But you insist on defining for yourselves what that heritage means rather than accepting definitions imposed by dragons. You are Dragonborn, not dragon servants. The distinction matters more than outsiders can understand. This creates impossible tensions within your own communities. Some Dragonborn, particularly those who embrace worship of Bahamut, argue that cooperation with good dragons serves everyone's interests. They point out that chromatic dragons and their followers represent genuine threats. An alliance with metallic dragons provides powerful support against those dangers. They insist that serving Bahamut's ideals of justice and protection is fundamentally different from serving dragon overlords. These arguments have merit, and those who make them are often sincere in their beliefs. But traditionalists view such cooperation with deep suspicion. They see in every Dragonborn who swears oaths to Bahamut a potential traitor, someone who has abandoned their people's hard-won independence to return to servitude. They argue that any system requiring you to bow before a dragon, even a good dragon, even a dragon god, is inherently corrupting, a betrayal of everything your ancestors fought for. Dragonborn clerics and paladins dedicated to dragon gods often face ostracism from traditional clans, forced to practice their faith quietly or leave their communities entirely. These internal conflicts add to the weight you carry. It is not enough to navigate the prejudices of other races. To prove your worth in a world suspicious of your dragon-touched nature, you must also manage divisions within your own people, arguments about authenticity and identity that have no clear resolution. What does it mean to be truly Dragonborn? Must you reject all connection to dragons to prove your independence? Or can you embrace your draconic heritage while maintaining autonomy? These questions generate passionate debate and occasional violence, clan turning against clan over philosophical differences that feel existential. Other races struggle to understand these nuances. They see your draconic features and make assumptions. Some fear you as potential dragons in humanoid form, beings who might share draconic greed and territorial aggression. Others view you as exotic curiosities, fascinated by your scales and breath weapons, but unable or unwilling to grasp the culture and history shaping Dragonborn identity. Still others see useful tools, strong warriors who can be hired for dangerous tasks. Few take time to understand that you are people with your own values and goals, not simply dragon-adjacent beings defined entirely by your unusual heritage. You navigate these prejudices through deeds rather than words. You prove your reliability as allies, your honor as opponents, your value as community members. You maintain your traditions, even when others find them strange. You speak Draconic among yourselves, preserving the language that connects you to your origins. You tell the stories, sing the songs, observe the customs that make you distinctly Dragonborn. And slowly, grudgingly, you earn respect from those willing to look past surface appearances and see the people beneath the scales. But respect is not belonging. Acceptance is not home. You remain fundamentally displaced, a people without territory to call your own, building lives in spaces other races permit you to occupy. Every generation raises young Dragonborn who will face the same struggles, carry the same burdens, ask the same unanswerable questions about identity and purpose. And every generation finds ways to endure, adapting without surrendering core values, changing without losing essential identity. This is the modern Dragonborn condition. You are scattered but connected, displaced but determined, burdened but unbroken. You carry the weight of draconic blood that marks you as extraordinary and isolates you from those who fear or misunderstand what you are. You honor traditions born in another world while creating new ways of being in this one. You balance individual ambition with collective responsibility, personal identity with clan loyalty, pride in heritage with determination to define your own destiny. The search for belonging continues, generation after generation, each cohort of young Dragonborn facing anew the eternal questions. Where do you fit in a world that views you with suspicion? How do you honor draconic heritage while refusing draconic rule? What does it mean to be Dragonborn when the empires that once gave that identity concrete meaning have crumbled to dust? You may never find complete answers, but you continue asking the questions. Continue building lives worthy of the ancestors who fought for your freedom. Continue breathing fire and lightning. and acid as proof that Dragonborn endure. Section 5. The breath of ancestors, heritage, and hope. The power lives in your chest, waiting. You feel it there in moments of stress or anger, a pressure building behind your ribs, heat or cold, or crackling energy demanding release. This is your breath weapon, the most visceral manifestation of your Draconic heritage, the gift that proves beyond any doubt that dragon blood flows in your veins. When you exhale that elemental fury, when fire or lightning or acid or frost or poison pours from your mouth in devastating torrents, you are channeling power that has existed since the dawn of creation. This is not magic you learned or ability you trained. This is inheritance written into your flesh, passed down through bloodlines stretching back to Io itself. The specific element you breathe marks your Draconic ancestry with precision. Red Dragonborn exhale fire in spreading cones of destruction, flames hot enough to melt steel and reduce flesh to ash. The heat builds in your lungs, ignites in your throat, erupts in conflagration that mirrors the breath of red dragons, who terrorize kingdoms and hoard wealth in volcanic lairs. Blue Dragonborn produce lightning, electrical energy that arcs from your mouth in crackling devastation. The same power wielded by blue dragons who rule desert wastes and storm-racked coastlines. Green Dragonborn spew poison gas, toxic clouds that choke and corrode. The signature weapon of green dragons who manipulate and scheme from forest territories. Black Dragonborn breathe acid, caustic liquid that melts through armor and dissolves organic matter, echoing the cruel nature of black dragons who lurk in swamps and ruin. White Dragonborn exhale frost, freezing wind and ice that can flash freeze enemies where they stand. The elemental fury of white dragons who hunt across Arctic tundra. These are the chromatic lineages, descended from or resonating with the dragons who serve Tiamat or follow their own destructive natures. The chromatic breath manifests as a cone, spreading outward to engulf multiple targets in elemental destruction. The metallic lineages carry different but equally potent powers. Brass Dragonborn breathe fire like their chromatic red cousins, but often with different tactical applications. Bronze Dragonborn exhale lightning, channeling the electrical fury of bronze dragons who patrol coastlines and naval routes. Copper Dragonborn produce acid, though their dragons are known more for trickery than cruelty. Silver Dragonborn breathe frost, the icy power of silver dragons who champion noble causes. Gold Dragonborn, bearing the colors of the most majestic metallic dragons, exhale fire in displays of controlled power. The metallic breath weapons often manifest as focused lines rather than spreading cones. Concentrated elemental force that can strike at greater distances. Your resistance to elemental damage mirrors your breath weapon. A red Dragonborn who breathes fire also shrugs off flames that would incinerate other races. A blue Dragonborn walks through lightning with reduced harm. This resistance is not immunity. You can still be hurt by your own element if the source is powerful enough. But you possess natural defenses that mark you as something more than merely mortal. Protections woven into your scales and blood by Draconic ancestry. These physical manifestations of heritage create complex feelings within Dragonborn communities. You take pride in your breath weapon, in the elemental power that distinguishes you from other races. The ability to breathe fire or lightning is extraordinary, magical in effect, though natural to your kind, and it provides concrete advantages in combat and other dangerous situations. Your scales offer protection beyond what clothing or light armor provides. Natural armor that has saved countless Dragonborn lives. Your Draconic features, the frills, the sharp teeth, the powerful build, grant you presence and strength that commands respect even from those who might prefer to dismiss you. Yet these same features mark you as different, as other, as connected to dragons in ways that generate suspicion and fear. When you walk into a tavern and heads turn to stare at your scaled face and reptilian eyes, you must wonder whether they see a person or a monster. When guards grip their weapons tighter as you pass, when children hide behind their parents, when merchants charge higher prices or refuse service entirely, your Draconic heritage feels more like curse than blessing. You cannot hide what you are. Your appearance proclaims your nature to everyone you meet. This visibility brings both advantages and burdens, making you simultaneously exotic and isolated. The distinction between chromatic and metallic lineages adds another layer of complexity to Dragonborn identity. In theory, these categories should not matter among your people. You are all Dragonborn regardless of scale color, all inheritors of the same complicated legacy. But in practice, the ancient divide between chromatic and metallic dragons casts shadows over Dragonborn relations. Based on what we know about attitudes in some communities, chromatic-descended Dragonborn might face suspicions that they are inherently more aggressive or selfish, while metallic-descended Dragonborn might be assumed naturally more noble or trustworthy. These prejudices have no factual basis. Individual character matters far more than scale color, but they can persist nevertheless, creating tensions within clans and between different Dragonborn populations. Your people also preserve stories and hopes about a future when Dragonborn will reclaim lost glory. While not specific prophecies in the canonical sense, these narratives share common themes that resonate through Dragonborn communities. That a great leader might arise who unites scattered clans, that lost territories could be reclaimed, that ancient knowledge might be recovered, and that Dragonborn civilization could achieve heights surpassing even Arcosia's golden age. Whether these hopes represent genuine possibilities or simply aspirations that sustain your people during difficult times remains unclear. But they provide motivation during dark periods, reassurance that your people's struggles have meaning and purpose beyond mere survival. Some Dragonborn dedicate themselves to making these aspirations reality through practical action, rather than waiting for destiny to unfold. Scholars search ancient ruins for texts and artifacts from Arcosia and earlier civilizations, recovering fragments of lost history piece by painstaking piece. Warriors train in techniques developed by your ancestors, preserving martial traditions that might otherwise fade from memory. Mages study Draconic magic, attempting to reconstruct spells and rituals that Arcosian scholars once mastered. These efforts rarely produce dramatic results. You cannot rebuild an empire through individual dedication alone, but they keep alive the possibility that your people might someday reclaim what was lost. The modern age has produced Dragonborn heroes whose deeds echo through your communities, providing examples of what individuals can achieve even in exile. These are not legendary figures from distant history, but contemporaries, Dragonborn who walk the world now and whose struggles mirror your own. Warriors who have defended entire regions from threats no one else could face. Diplomats who have negotiated treaties, establishing Dragonborn rights in territories that previously denied your people basic recognition. Scholars who have recovered crucial historical texts. Artisans whose work has earned acclaim even from races prejudiced against Dragonborn. Religious figures who have reconciled worship of divine powers with Dragonborn values of independence and clan loyalty. These heroes face challenges that go beyond external threats. A Dragonborn warrior serving in a mixed-race military company must constantly prove themselves against prejudices, suggesting they are too aggressive, too primitive, too dangerous to trust in delicate situations. A Dragonborn diplomat negotiating with human kingdoms must navigate assumptions that they speak for all Dragonborn, or that they secretly serve dragon masters. A Dragonborn scholar seeking access to libraries and archives often encounters gatekeepers who question whether someone of their race possesses sufficient intelligence or discipline for serious academic work. Every achievement requires twice the effort it would cost a human or elf in similar circumstances. Every success must be overwhelming to overcome the default expectation of failure. Yet these heroes persist, driven by the same code of honor that has sustained your people through centuries of displacement. They understand that their individual actions reflect on all Dragonborn, that their failures will be generalized to the entire race, while their successes might be recognized as exceptions. This unfair burden would crush those with weaker spirits. But the honor code teaches that you bear such weights for the good of the clan, for the benefit of all Dragonborn who will come after you. Your sacrifices today create opportunities tomorrow. Your excellence now earns respect that future generations will inherit. The efforts to reclaim lost history take many forms beyond academic scholarship. Oral traditions remain crucial, with elders teaching young Dragonborn the songs and stories that preserve cultural memory. You learn the names of Arco-Sion heroes, the details of clan lineages stretching back centuries, the codes of conduct that define proper Dragonborn behavior. You memorize the cautionary tales of how pride and stubbornness destroyed Arco-Sion, ensuring that future generations understand the consequences of repeating ancestral mistakes. This knowledge exists in your people's collective memory, passed from one generation to the next, surviving even when physical records are lost. Some clans maintain detailed genealogies, tracking bloodlines and documenting achievements to preserve family histories that might otherwise fade. These records serve practical purposes. They help determine clan leadership, resolve disputes about inheritance or obligation, and identify distant relatives who might provide aid in times of need. But they also serve emotional and cultural purposes, giving you concrete connection to ancestors whose lives shaped the world you inhabit. When you can trace your lineage back to specific individuals who fought in the revolution against dragon overlords or served Arco-Sion during its height, history becomes personal rather than abstract. Language preservation represents another crucial front in the struggle to maintain Dragonborn identity. Draconic remains your people's primary language when speaking among yourselves, even when you have learned Common or other tongues for dealing with outsiders. The language connects you to your origins, to Io who first spoke these words, to dragons whose speech you share even as you reject their authority. Every time you speak Draconic, you are participating in tradition that has survived dragon rule, revolution, empire, collapse, and exile across worlds. The language itself becomes defiance, proof that you remain distinctly Dragonborn despite all the forces that have tried to break or assimilate your people. But beneath all these efforts at preservation and reclamation, beneath the honor codes and clan structures and cultural practices, the fundamental question remains unanswered. What does it mean to be Dragonborn? You carry dragon blood, but refuse to serve dragons. You honor heritage that includes both glory and shame, triumph and catastrophic failure. You belong nowhere completely, yet build homes wherever circumstances allow. You are defined by displacement, by the eternal tension between what you were created to be and what you have chosen to become. Different Dragonborn answer this question differently. And perhaps that diversity of response is itself the answer. Some find meaning through worship of Bahamut, dedicating themselves to ideals of justice and protection, while carefully maintaining that they serve principles rather than dragon authority. Others reject all divine worship, finding sufficient purpose in clan loyalty and honorable conduct. Some embrace their draconic nature fully, studying dragon lore and seeking to embody the best aspects of draconic power. Others minimize that connection, emphasizing the humanoid aspects of Dragonborn identity and downplaying features that remind them of servitude. Perhaps being Dragonborn means living with contradictions that cannot be resolved. You are both proud of your heritage and resentful of the limitations it imposes. You value tradition while adapting to new circumstances. You honor your ancestors while forging your own path. You carry the weight of history while refusing to be defined entirely by events that occurred before you were born. These tensions create discomfort, certainly, but they also create space for growth and self-determination. The next generation of Dragonborn will inherit these same struggles. Young ones hatching now will grow up asking the same questions about identity and belonging that have haunted your people for millennia. They will face prejudice from other races who judge them based on appearance rather than character. They will navigate internal conflicts about how to honor draconic heritage without accepting draconic rule. They will balance individual ambition with clan loyalty, personal identity with collective responsibility. And like every generation before them, they will find ways to endure, to adapt, to build lives worthy of the ancestors who fought for their freedom. You are Dragonborn. This simple statement carries the weight of ages, encompasses contradictions that would break lesser peoples, proclaims identity that has survived attempts at enslavement, empire building, catastrophic war, and exile across worlds. You breathe fire and lightning, and acid channeling power that flows from the beginning of creation. You speak the language of dragons while refusing to bow before them. You honor traditions born in another world while creating new ways of being in this one. You carry home within your clans when geography offers no homeland to claim. The struggle continues, generation after generation, each cohort facing anew the eternal questions about purpose and belonging. But the struggle itself has meaning. Your determination to define your own identity rather than accepting definitions imposed by others. This is what makes you truly Dragonborn. Not the scales or breath weapon or draconic features, important as those are. Not the heritage stretching back to Io, though you honor that connection. What defines you is the choice to keep choosing, to claim autonomy even when easier paths involve surrender, to build meaning from contradictions that offer no clean resolution. you stand at the intersection of past and future, bearing the accumulated weight of your people's history while refusing to be crushed by it. Behind you lie the ruins of Arco-Sia and the scattered remnants of Timenchebar, monuments to both achievement and failure. Before you stretches uncertain future in a world that has never fully accepted your presence. And in this moment, in this breath, you choose to continue. You choose to honor your ancestors while forging your own path. You choose to carry draconic blood without accepting draconic chains. You choose to be Dragonborn in all the complexity and contradiction that identity entails. This is your inheritance and your choice, your burden and your power, your struggle and your hope. You are Dragonborn and you endure. If you have enjoyed this deep exploration into Dragonborn origins and their lost draconic legacy, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more lore explorations into the rich history of Dungeons and Dragons. Your support helps keep these stories alive, ensuring that the histories and struggles of races like the Dragonborn continue to be told and remembered. Thank you for listening.